What's up, everyone? It's Jay here again. I'm back. It's Thursday, and this week I'm not so naked, which is a good thing. So as you know, last week we came to you from Western Maryland, out at a place called Deep Creek, where I was on a trip with some friends, and we had a big hot tub that I was sitting in, broadcasting to you, and the hot tub was nice. It was about 101 degrees or so. But outside it was like 10 degrees Fahrenheit, which was absolutely brutal. I mean, like, if you happen to watch last week's show, it was really, like, super cold. Like, cold I haven't really experienced too often. But luckily, I'm back again, and no damage to extremities, so that's always a good thing. So we're back again. Tonight's Thursday night, here in the studio. I thought I was going to be away again this week in Ocean City, because we're supposed to go look at maybe a potential location down in Ocean City, but that's been pushed to next week, so maybe next Thursday we'll be coming to you live from Ocean City, Maryland instead of here. So who's out there? Drop your names in the comments. Let me know who's out there, because all I see are numbers and random, just generic, so I don't know who's really watching. Or if anyone's watching at all. Maybe nobody's here. Anyway, so we're going to start tonight, as we always do, with our coffee. And tonight's coffee is the Annabel Lee, because it's our Valentine's Day coffee, so we're back again with this, and because it's the Annabel Lee, and it is a Edgar Allan Poe type of homage coffee for Valentine's Day. We're going to be returning to our poem Stanzas of Annabel Lee. So the third stanza we missed last week, so I'm just not going to do anything in the cold. It was just too bitter. So the third stanza for this is, and this was the reason that long ago, in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee. So that her highborn kinsmen came and bore her away from me, to shut her in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. So as we've talked about in the past, the poem Annabel Lee is written by Edgar Allan Poe. It was the very last poem that was published before he died, and actually it was published right after he died, and the first publication was actually in his obituary, and it was really speculated that he was writing this either to his wife or maybe to someone else, but it's about that kind of like deep love that makes angels envy. So that's what that is, and that's what it's back here. And Rusty, good to see you out there. How's everything going? Thanks for tuning in. Certainly like to see you guys. Alright, so we're going to brew today using the V60 Dripper. And for those of you who may not be familiar, the V60 Dripper is kind of like, in specialty coffee, this is one of the most ubiquitous coffee brewing methods by, like, pretentious coffee people. And it's kind of nice. It's made in Japan. This one is a plastic version that is clear, and I've actually, it looks a little bit dirty because I've been using it a lot lately because I'm testing this new brewing device accessory that is that you insert here, and it's supposed to change the geometry of the brewing, and it's supposed to improve your brew. I've been doing a lot of testing with it, and called a friend of mine who used to work for the NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and he's been crunching some of the numbers for me to help me figure out whether these accessories work or not. So that'll be coming up in a future video. And George is out there, fully clothed. Yes, I'm fully clothed finally. You know, no hypothermia, thank goodness. Maybe a little bit of cough, but nothing serious. And but back to this. So the V60 has this channel, has this vortex ridging that's supposed to give a twist to it, and these ridges keep the paper filter off the side of the conical brewer in order to allow liquid to flow through. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And yeah, so as you can see, it's got a big hole, right? And it's real popular amongst coffee people, especially coffee people, because it has a big hole. And it's kind of the reason why I don't like it, because this is the kind of thing where it's such a large hole. It allows so much volume of liquid to pass through quickly that it's much more difficult to control. So if you're a new coffee person, and you really have to learn the control of your pouring in order to, get the right amount of liquid in the right amount of time for the right amount of extraction. Then conversely, a lot of people in the coffee business like it because they can run and gun it really fast, finish a coffee brew in like maybe 2 minutes or less, and give you the illusion that they're making something special when they're just kind of not. But I'm going to show you how we do it correctly. So we're going to take our paper filters, and these are special cotton filters from Japan. I've got the links to all this in the description below in case you want to find it. They're Amazon links. And so basically we're just going to take this paper filter, or conical filter, open it up, put it inside, and then we're going to add our coffee as always. And the coffee, of course, is the Annabel Lee. We're going to use 24 grams of coffee here. As you can see, then we're just going to level it out, right? Level it out, and then place it on our cup, as thus. Let me know if there's any kind of cracking on the sound. I was doing some testing with it earlier, and it overall seemed to work pretty good. But in case there's any problems, just let me know. So we're going to get some hot water just off the boil. And we're going to start by pre-wetting the coffee. We're just going to wet the coffee down and let bloom occur. And we're also going to start our timer, and this time we're going to count up from 0, right? So basically we're just going to add a little bit. And we're just going to wet the entire bed of coffee. So if I'm using a scale, I'm going to use 80 milliliters of water, right? But right now I'm just kind of eyeballing it. And I don't know if you can see this, but basically, oh no, that's not going to work. I'm going to be out of there. But we're just going to let that go. And so we'll add this for about the first 30 seconds. And yeah, first 30 seconds, and then we're going to add more water. So Rusty says, even after so many years, still trying to control the pour of the water. Yeah, I get it. It takes a while. So now that it's drained through, we've got lift of the coffee because of the CO2 that's a residual of the roasting process and a result of fresh roasted coffee. Now we're just going to use the water to resaturate and basically break down the cap. So what really I'm doing is I'm also lifting, as you can see here, let me turn that off. So as you can see right here, we'll have the water line here. We're going to keep the water line right about that point so that we don't want to add too much because then you'll have float down and then it sticks to the side and you're going to get uneven extraction. What we want to do is maintain constant water contact with all the coffee grounds throughout the brewing process. Rusty said, oh, sounds good so far. Good, glad to hear it. Also, can you hear the box fan? Sorry, it's kind of, I've been playing with this because, as I've been smoking in here, sometimes the smoke doesn't move so well in the space. So I'm using that, there's the geometry here is that there's a door in that direction. I'm trying to blow the air out to the door so that the exhaust fan can more readily take it, because if it has to go up and over the wall, it just doesn't seem to work as well. And I was in here the other week trying this setup out, and it seemed to work pretty well. So if it's a little bit too loud, I can always turn it off. I can't really tell. Okay, so we're almost to the finish with this, and we're right about 2 minutes 30 seconds, right? So what I'm targeting for is, with 24 grams of coffee, I want to use 350 milliliters of water to brew a 12-ounce cup. And I want the water flow to finish flowing between 3 minutes 30 seconds to 4 minutes. That's kind of the ideal. And so right now we're about 2:59, 3 minutes. So we're almost there. And we were kind of almost to the top. So I think this will be the last amount of water that I'm going to need to add to the coffee. And Inting, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Do you prefer pre-wetting the filter? You know, that's a good question. There's a video on this channel that we did back in, maybe it was September we did it. But it's about coffee filters. And so, there we go. Now we're finishing up. And it's right about 3 minutes, 37 seconds. Good, good. And we've got just the right amount of volume. See? And that's it. So, but going back to the wetting of the filter, after making that video, and so what we did for this video was we took a whole bunch of filters, both bleached and unbleached, and just ran them through taste testing. So basically, the idea was to add hot water, let it steep for a few minutes, and then just taste the water and what kind of flavors did we receive. Did rinsing the filters help any? And when it came to bleach filters, including this Hario V60 coffee paper, what they call the VCF02 100W, this one, these bleach filters did not have any off flavors. It did not have any need or any benefit from pre-wetting. So ever since then, I've kind of stopped. Now, when it comes to the brown filters, the unbleached, man, those taste, you can taste them. There's actually a flavor to them, and it's not very pleasant. And so the bleach ones you want to rinse, and but the unbleached you want to rinse, but the bleach ones, these white ones, I haven't found them to be needing of rinsing because there is no off flavor. You know, what I do find convenient with rinsing them, so if you wanted to, like, for example, let me grab this. So, like, for example, this one, right? If you kind of notice when I was loading it up, right, the filter would kind of want to fall back, right? It wanted to close up. I think the rinsing can be nice if you pre-wet the filter because it helps it to form to the shape of the brewer. So it's more of a mechanical need, you know, something for greater efficiency. So, like, you may want to hit it with some water just so that it stays open and tame rather than having to battle with it, trying to close. So that's really kind of where I would think that the difference is for pre-wetting. But otherwise, I don't find any benefit for flavor and enjoyment of flavor by pre-wetting. And Tony says, welcome back, Jay. Nice to see you, Tony. I just saw Tony the other day when I was heading down to Ocean City last week. I stopped by a shop to pick up some extra cigars for the road. I was going to actually go to this wine shop that's close to my shop in Hamden. But then I got there and I picked up some baguettes from the wine shop and a bottle of rum. And I was going to get some cigars, but the cigars, you know, they're just kind of generic, you know, plain cigars. And they were pretty pricey, so I was like, well, I don't feel like spending $10 for this, you know, what is a $5 cigar. I'm going to drive over to Tony's shop and get some from him. All right, so, Inting says, I got a new glass pour over that came with a stainless steel filter and have you. Oh, those are good, those are good. Do you remember which glass pour over you got and what stainless filter? All right, so our coffee tonight, the Annabel Lee. This is the Annabelle Lee, and you can get 10% off by putting OnoLive in the code at spurcoffee.com. Yeah. So if you want to get that, come to Spur Coffee and get. Actually, to be honest with you, it'll work. The 10% discount code works for the entire site. So if you wanted to even buy some of the brewing device, you get 10% off. So that could be something for you. All right, that's good. So let's see what the coffee tastes like. The coffee, you know, since the last time, this is actually the same batch that I brewed 2 weeks ago. So there's been an evolution of this coffee in the bag. There's still a lot of bloom, so it's still a very fresh coffee. But early on in the previous brew, where we had a lot of chocolate, now we're getting a lot more. It's a little bit brighter. It's a little bit more acidic. I wonder if that could also be a factor. Maybe we're going a little bit fast, meaning that we could have gone for a more fine grind, which would have given us a little bit more extraction. But you know. So Inting says it's a Kasari pour over, nothing fancy. Well, honestly, you don't need anything fancy. Like these V60s and everything are some of the most unfancy things that you can buy. I mean, like, you can pay a lot of money for them for sure. But even like there's a Melito one, a plastic conical wedge-shaped filter that you buy at like the grocery store. I think it's only like $10 or less. And I mean, I think it's really more about controlling your grind and controlling the quantity of the coffee as well as the quantity and temperature of the water. Once you get those and you control those, you can use anything. I mean, really, here at Spro, at my shop, we use all kinds of different brewers. And here at the roastery, when we had our bar here open, we're essentially using a flannel cotton sock. So you don't really need fancy equipment. You just need to control certain variables. And then, again, trying to get that all in the right amount of time to work. All right, so, there it is. Now let's move on to our cigar of the evening. All right, so again, tobacco leaf is our pit stop for cigars. And this time we're smoking the Tabernacle Havana Seed CT number 142 Lancero. Oh. How do I get it so it's not so... There it is, okay. So this is a 7 inch by 40 ring gauge cigar, and it's made by Foundation Cigar, which of course is run by a guy named Nick Melillo, and Nick used to be the head blender, I think, at Drew Estate, and he left several years ago to start his company, Foundation, and his first cigar was something called the Wise Man. I mean, I don't think people called it though. I think it was called El Huehuense, but I think he started, I don't know if he called it the Wise Man also, but the idea of Gueguense, El Huehuense, is pretty daunting for a lot of people in America to pronounce. So El Huehuense or whatever, there's all kinds of crazy pronunciations out there. So I think El Huehuense means the wise man. And so I think everyone's calling it the Wise Man rather than El Huehuense. I do believe that the labeling still says El Huehuense. I believe. I don't know. I haven't tried it in a while, so I'm not sure. So I picked this up at Rahul's a couple weeks ago. And on the front here, on the band, is evidently it's a come on. This is Haile Selassie, from Ethiopia, the king of Ethiopia that is the head of the Rastafarian nation. I'm not sure why it's called the Tabernacle and what the connection is to Haile Selassie or any connection to Rastafarianism, but Ja. So this cigar, 7 by 40, and it's made in Esteli by the Tabacalera AJ Fernandez Cigars de Nicaragua. And AJ Fernandez is the manufacturer. So it uses Havana Seed Connecticut wrapper from Connecticut with a San Andreas wrap binder from Mexico. And then the filler is made from leaves from both Esteli and Jalapa in Nicaragua, as well as tobacco from the Valle de Jamastran in Honduras. So, interesting. I haven't tried these Havana Seed CT number 142, and man, that's a long name. If you say the whole name, Foundation Cigar Company, the Tabernacle, Havana Seed, CT, number 42, or maybe that's Connecticut, number 142, Lancero. That really doesn't fit very well, like, on a description. It's super long. Okay, so it looks nice. Let me turn this other light on here. All right, so it's got a nice looking wrapper, not really veiny or anything. It's a feeling a little bit on the dry side. I mean, it's been up here in a bag with a Boveda, but it feels dry. You know, some other ones you would feel more silky and oily, but this one's a little bit on the dry side. Barnyard. It's not heavy in aromas on the wrapper. A little bit barnyard. Inting loves the CT142. This has been my first time trying it, I think. And Tony thinks it's a brilliant cigar, especially in this size. And it has the same wrapper. Oh, I didn't know that. The T52, I didn't realize it. Okay, well, maybe I will like this one because I have said that I'm a fan of the Liga Privada. T52. All right, so let's get into the cutting. We're going to cut the cigar with the official cutter, the MTX from Cigar. And Rusty, I saw that you got one of these. How are you liking it? So we have it's a little bit dryness, right? As you can see, there's a little bit of tearing on the cap. Shouldn't be too much cause for alarm. We'll just wet it down. Cold draw is easy. The draw is easy. A little bit of resistance, but a nice smooth draw. There's some nice light spices. Not like a peppery spice, but just kind of sweet spice. Maybe like cloves, nutmeg. Pleasant, pleasant, pleasant. And then Tony says the wrapper is grown in Connecticut and then sent to A.J. Fernandez to cure until it's ready to use. Yeah, what I was reading somewhere said that some of the tobaccos used for this is cured by A.J. Fernandez for 3 years. So I guess they're putting in the pilons for 3 years for the curing. And Rusty says that I did, meaning that he got the MTX cutter. Yeah, I saw that on your Instagram or wherever it was. The other tools with it had to bleed out the lighter and it helped greatly. You know, I just had to do that with my other lighter. I brought this lighter on my trip, right? Oh, I even talked about this on the show last week when I was freezing my butt off in the hot tub. So I brought this, and before I left here, I gassed it, or at least I thought I did, but I could never get it to light. So finally, I guess it just got like air pocketed. So I finally earlier today, I cleaned it out, and I don't know if I refilled it. Well, I guess I didn't. It's because I'm using matches. So now we're going to use matches today. All right, we're starting out nice. A little bit of peppery spice. A good medium body right now. Let's see what Tony says. Tony says, I'm infatuated with the Fox Damascus cigar scissors, but can't fight them at a reasonable price. Damn Italians. Yeah, those Italians, man. Fox Damascus cigar lighter. I don't even know what that is. Let's see. Let's see. Fox. All right, let's share this so we can all see. All right, so this is it. This is what Tony's talking about. I believe this is what he's talking about. The Fox Damascus. I don't know, what is this? Go away. Oh, so there's a few. Damascus Figaro cut, or the Damascus steel, the hand hammered steel. Got it, got it. Looks nice. There we are. That's pretty. That's pretty. Well, here you go. Look at that. SP off, SPOF 5. $5 discount. Look at that. $5 discount. You get $322.81. Perfect. So here it is. The Fox Damascus cigar cutter. That just, you know, the problem with this is that it just looks like this is some sort of illustration rather than an actual photo. It'd be nice to see it like in real life. Well, maybe that's, yeah, that looks kind of, I don't know, it looks, could it be CGI'd, you know? Oh, how about this? Oh, no, that's just the regular. So the Damascus is much more expensive. Oh, and this is not even available. Huh. I see, I see. All right, very good, very good. I'll close that up. All right, so at some time you'll be able to find it. Is there a local seller around here? All right, so it's starting off nicely. I'm trying to say, that's still a couple bucks of cigars. What, the $3.25? What is that? Not a big deal. Yeah, this has got nice flavor. Definitely a lot of that wrapper flavor is coming through because of the size. No way to locally. Nah, that's too bad. Actually, this is starting off very enjoyably, very enjoyably. So, this cigar, what was I saying about it also? So the MSRP is $12.75, and it comes in boxes of 24. I don't remember how much I paid for it, but it was probably $13 or so. You know, here in Maryland, we've got this OTP, other tobacco products tax, so it tends to add a little bit more to each stick. So this CT number 142 line has been around for a little while, and this particular size, the Lancero, was added in 2019 during the was added in June 2019 and was going to debut at that year's IPCPR. So later that year, Cigar Aficionado did a review on it, and they gave it an 86. Yeah, let's see that. Where is that? 86. Yeah, so it gave, yeah, so here it is with the 86, it gave 86 points. It said strength, medium strength, medium to full strength. unfortunately, on their website, it doesn't really say too much. What is it? Gleaming with oil, long smoke, dark wrapper. Draw's inconsistent. I haven't found that yet. The draw's been smooth and steady this whole time. So, big black pepper, minerals, dark chocolate, burnt toast, herbal aftertaste. You know, I've seen in some of the notes that I've been reading, there's a lot of similarity, a lot of burnt characters. George says it deserves a better rating than 86 in his opinion. Yeah, I would say probably better. But it is a little bit, I'm starting to get some of that burnt character that I've read about. And Tony says it's holding a razor sharp ash. Yeah, it's really burning nicely. Look at that. I feel like it's burning a little bit fast. Maybe I'm smoking too much. And then Inting agrees with George on the on that 86 is a bit low. Well, if that's too low, let's move on to the next one. So Developing Palates, this is their review. This is from January 2020. And the interesting thing about Developing Palates is that they use, they identify the people that are reviewing, and they allow each of them to leave their notes and on each cigar, and it's kind of interesting. Like, and also they use a different scoring system. So let's look at their scoring system. And I know I've been harshing out on cigar industry scoring for a long time now. You guys might be getting tired of this, but let's just harsh out on it a little bit longer. So we've got but what they do, instead of using a 100-point scale or 5-point scale, they're actually using a 10-point scale. And which if you look here at it says here, a 10-point scale will be used for the total score. And it says, to summarize what you'll read below, the best way to look at scoring is to compare it to a satisfaction survey that uses a 10-point scale. 10 is extremely satisfied, 5 is neither satisfied nor dissatisfied, and 0 is completely dissatisfied. The higher score on the satisfied side, the better. You know, and here's my thing. I have a bit of a problem when organizations or anyone uses satisfied or satisfaction as a measure of anything, right? Like, when I ask my staff, or ask our guests at our shops for their thoughts, I don't want them to be satisfied, right? I mean, if you think about it, if you're satisfied with something, kind of just says that it's meeting the bare minimum, right? That this is my thought, right? It's meeting the bare minimum, and that's it. I'm satisfied. Like, whoever sits around saying that they're satisfied, yeah, I'm satisfied, that's enough. No, we want to be fucking excited, all right? Like I tell my staff, we want people to come in, our guests, to leave stoked that they came in. If we can do that, that's the goal, right? That's what we want them to do. We want them to leave stoked, right? I don't want a cigar that just satisfied. Like, okay, that was a satisfactory meal. I want a smoke that blows me away, right? Right? Maybe a satisfying smoke is like a factory smokes from Drew Estate. The short end filler that's $3, and you just want something just to, like, bide your time, so you don't spend more money. Or maybe you just want something like a basic cheeseburger, just to satisfy your hunger. Yeah, like Tony says, satisfactory is not excellent. Yeah, and that's the point. Is like, so when they say things like, let's go back to that screen here. Hold on a second. So when they say things like this, like extremely satisfied, well, how much more satisfied do you need to be than satisfied, right? Like, should be awesome, right? There's awesome. We want to be awesome. We don't want just, it's okay, right? Satisfied is okay. I'm not going to go on more about that anyway. But what I do like about Developing Palate's scoring system is that, as we scroll down here, they actually break down the way that they evaluate their scoring. So as you can see here, the major categories are pre-light experience. They don't really count. They talk about it, but that's not really a factor in their scores. Each third's flavor, 21% of the score. Burn, 6%. Draw, 9%. And then an overall category of 22%. Now, I'm not sure exactly, and I to be honest with you, I didn't really read it, all of it, but why is Developing Palates weighting it in this manner? I'm not sure, but at least they're showing us how they do it, and I think that's a very good step forward. And yeah, I think that's good. And so now let's go back to the way that they have scored this cigar, the Tabernacle Havana Seed CT number 142 Lancero. In fact, I might just start saying that more often. The Foundation Cigar Company, the Tabernacle Havana Seed CT number 142 Lancero, because it probably takes me about 15 seconds to say it all, and I can extend the length of the broadcast by that much time each time I say it. All right, so let's look at the scoring. Okay, so now we've got 3 different scores from 3 different reviewers. Aaron Loomis, Seth Geis, John McTavish. And each of them are scoring respectively 5.7, 7.78, and 5.3. Now, what does that really say to us, right? It says that, okay, we can be able to, we can take this and extrapolate it out, right, to even to the 100-point scale. But what they're saying in their where is it? Oh, I'm losing it. Here. And what they're saying in there, that 5 is neither satisfied nor dissatisfied. So really what Aaron and John are saying in this 5.7 and 5.3 is that this cigar, the Foundation Cigar Company, the Tabernacle Havana Seed Connecticut number 142 Lancero, is basically just a little bit better than meh. Because if you're neither satisfied nor dissatisfied, it's really just meh. So this is a little bit better than meh. Now Seth Geis, on the other hand, at 7.78, that's more like good, right? I would say it's not extremely satisfied, but satisfied, right? You're satisfied. I'm satisfied. Satisfied to very satisfied. So if you asked someone and said, hey, what do you think of that cigar? It was very satisfying. It was very satisfying. Does that sound convincing? I don't know. I mean, if I asked you, Inting, and said, hey, what do you think of this cigar? It was satisfying. I don't know if I'm going to run out and spend $13 on this cigar. Now, the fact that whether it's worth $13 is really something that Nick Melillo has to worry about, that because he's the one creating it and has to give value for it. But, let's say we would extrapolate these scores from Developing Palates out to the 100-point scale. We're talking 57, 78, and 53. I mean, these are some of the most punishing scores in the entire industry. Like, these guys are just unhappy Like, if you said someone on a 100-point scale said, hey, what'd you give that cigar? 53. Jesus, 53? I mean, Cigar Aficionado said 86, and already that was pretty harsh. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comments. I'm interested to hear what you guys think about this. These are the thoughts of a raving madman here. Maybe I'm off. Maybe I'm off base. I don't know what I'm talking about. I do find the interesting thing here, they have a cost per point. And I'm not really sure what that means, but I think that's an interesting way to break it down. So it says here on their, in the most basic form, typically an item with the lowest cost point would be the best value, but not always the case. Whatever. I don't know. And Inting says, like Cigar Aficionado Top 25 is a... Yeah, we went through that last one, right? But how is this one doing? So we're now, pushing into the latter part of the first third. And it's got some spice. Like, what did Developing Palates guys say? They were talking about how this cigar in the first third had charred wood, cinnamon, mustiness, baking spice, mushroom mustiness, medium strength, fruit stew, licorice. I don't really get the fruitiness that they're talking about. I definitely get some of the toasty earth and charred wood notes. There's some of that. Definitely some spiciness. Maybe a little bit more in the black pepper spice. One guy talked about stewed plums. I don't know what that tastes like, but that doesn't sound nice. But then again, that was the same guy that was John McTavish. He gave it a 5.3, so maybe stewed plums is not a good description. But anyway, I do like that developing, even though I find some of their methodology or their scoring and terminology for the scores to be a little bit strange. I do like the fact that they're laying it out so that people can understand what they're trying to say. And then it's up for each of us to decide whether or not we agree with them. I don't think that this cigar so far is a meh cigar. And George is saying, a fruit stew? Come on, if you say that, I question your... Yeah, you got to question that, because... Fruit stew. Who stews fruit? I'll put fruit in a salad, right? I'll do that. Okay, I get that. But stew? Who does that? Monsters. These are people that don't love food. That's what it is. I would say that this is not a meh cigar. This is at least a very satisfying cigar. Tony says, sounds like he's Scottish. So what did you really... Oh, those guys. Actually, the Scottish are very upset right now. So, I just heard on NPR today, right? There's a whole thing about how, because of the airline industry, so the airliners, like Boeing and Airbus, I believe that the EU if I remember the story correctly, the EU has placed a tariff on Boeing airliners. I'm presuming it's Boeing because they just said American airliners, but I presume it's Boeing because they're the only people making airliners today. Evidently, there's some sort of tariff on Boeing products in the EU. So in order to retaliate, the United States has placed tariffs on various products, and one of those is Scotch whiskey from Scotland. And so they had this person from Scotland with a big Scottish accent, and I can't do that. Sounds like the old Doctor Who. But basically, she was online or on NPR this morning, complaining about, hey, why are we getting penalized when, we have nothing to do with airlines? Yeah, that kind of makes sense. And then she was also saying that, the Asians are, Japanese are very big into whiskeys. Chinese are growing the whiskeys. Well, we might just not focus on America anymore and send all our whiskeys to Asia. You know, it's a bigger market. There's 1 billion people in China alone. So that was a topic of discussion this morning. But this cigar, I don't think it's a meh or a very satisfied plus kind of thing. It's got a nice spiciness to it. I think the acidity of this coffee clashes with this cigar, so it's not a harmonious blend at the moment. So what are you guys smoking tonight? You know, I'm interested to know, what are you smoking? Where are you smoking? Rusty, you posted earlier or said so earlier that you're going to be outside smoking a cigar. How's that coming along? But as Inting said about the top 25, finally, since the last episode we talked about the top 5, the top 10 of 2020 cigars, the, what's their name? Half Wheel has finally come out with their listing of their top cigars. So let's have a look at those. All right, so here we have the top 25 from Half Wheel. But, you know, there's some nice ones there. My Father, Fonseca, which was okay. I thought the Fonseca was okay. Is it, like, awesome? Oh, I haven't tried the Camacho, the Daughters of the Wind. Cuatro Cinco, that's pretty good. Aladino, I really like the Aladino. That's a nice one. The LG from Lido Gomez, haven't tried that. The Varzon Espinosa, have not tried that either. They have the Partagas Cuban. Well, Partagas always tends to be quite good. And then evidently the Room 101 has some sort of fried chicken looking thing. You know, and Matt Booth, a couple years back, he was like, I'm leaving the business, but he's not leaving. Here we have the Hoya 1, I believe that's the one. The La Volcan, don't know what that is, haven't tried that either. Something called Emilio, haven't tried that either. And then here we have the Unstolen Valor. I forgot who makes that, but one of the guys makes that. The Four Kicks, we tried that one a couple weeks ago. That was good. Charter Oak. Okay, now we're going to the top 10. We're going to go top 10 and then see what they say. So the number 10 is the Charter Oak Habano Torpedo. I don't believe I've tried that one. I don't know if you guys have tried that. Let me know what you think of any of these. And then this number 9, I'm not sure the number. It looks to me like a Tatuaje band. Looks to me like to be the TAA 2020 from Tatuaje, but I haven't tried that myself, so I'm not sure. Then they have the Hoya de Nicaragua, Cinco Décadas, El Doctor. And the interesting thing is, the father, Cuenca, that owns Hoya de Nicaragua, is actually a doctor. And then, of course, there's the Crown Heads Mil Diaz Sublime. That's a nice cigar. We smoked that. And then the Hoya de Nicaragua Numero Uno Le Premier is number 6. And then at number 5, we've got the Davidoff Limited Edition 2021 Year of the Ox. Inting likes the Charter Oak Habano. I need to try that. I'll have to go try that. And so does George. Says it's great for the money, and it's another foundation blend. Oh, I didn't think that he was a. I was thinking that. Oh, you know what? I was thinking that a Charter Oak. I was confusing that band with another band, that guy from Egypt, that has a similar colored band. And then we've got the number 4, which is the Sobremesa Brûlée from Dunbarton Trust. So finally, Dunbarton gets some kind of love because he gets no love on Cigar Aficionado. And then this other one, number 3, is the Aventura Royal Return Queen's Pearls Corona. Oh, and this Tatuaje the number 2 is a what Tatuaje is it? Oh, good Lord, 404. I guess that's a Tatuaje Black Label, I think. But their number one is the Tatuai Karloff, which I don't know if any of you have tried this Karloff. I haven't. I didn't really campaign to get any of those cigars of the Halloween series this year. Although, actually, maybe I smoked one when it came out at Rahul's. I think maybe I did, but it wasn't. I didn't think it was. It didn't blow me away. If I did, I don't know. Maybe I didn't. Oh, there was a time when, you know, a couple years, just as recently as a couple years ago, I was really trying to get the dress boxes. Went all the way to try to make deals. Lately, it's just chasing these like limited edition cigars. Just hasn't really been a high priority for me. I don't know about you guys, but Intig says Soccer got some love. And yes, finally he got some love. The guys on Cigar Authority were also kind of beating up on Cigar Aficionado probably about 2 weeks ago about not putting, you know, about letting their disagreements, you know, ignore the reviews. So Tony says that Ventura in the Lancero was great. He's a huge fan of the Black Label Cazador. Oh yeah, that's the Black Label Cazador. It's good. And Chronogorda. Yeah, the one that came in, the original one, the Black Labels that came in the, that like black jar. I thought that was stellar. Still a beautiful cigar. All right, so let's see about how is this one coming along. So this one, still rolling. The burn has been very even, consistent. Draw smooth, medium plus bodied. Very enjoyable. And then Tony says, time for some of that rum you were drinking. And he's smoking a Romeo Julieta Bellicoso by AJ Fernandez. Oh, good. All right, so we are going to go more back into that because we didn't really get into it last week. As you can see, we didn't really hit it too hard. This is the Kirk and Sweeney Dominican rum. So I lately have been, you know, I know I've said this before, I've been really doing a lot more of more drum drinking this past year. And basically it comes from me finding a website, this one, called Rum Ratings. And Rum Ratings is just a site that I stumbled upon. And at first I thought it was like really heavily critically reviewed rums, but it turns out it's just an aggregation of many readers from around the world trying different rums and then giving their opinion on it. So I've kind of narrowed it down to like I'm trying to find rums that are the 8-point plus range. And so as you can see, this one here, the average rating is 8.3 with 215 ratings. And they call it, now this is some good stuff, as you can see. And then they also give you a little bit of curve, as you can see here with the, to the right of the 8.3, you can see how much, you know, a lot of 9s, some 10s. And I've just found that this is just, you know, I don't really know the true veracity of the ratings here, but it's so far the ones that I've been buying and drinking on the show, like the Diplomatico, the El Dorado 15, these are all rums that have generally received 8 points and higher. And it's a pretty decent resource. I've been pleased with what I've been experiencing. And so this one, the Crooked Sweeney, is let me put this a little bit. Oh, that's it. All right, I guess that's it. Let me back it up a little bit. Here we are. So this is the Crooked Sweeney. It is from Santiago in the Dominican Republic, and it says, in the spirit of run-rumming schooner Kirk and Sweeney. Oh, I guess it was a schooner. This rum is well worth pursuing, of course. Looking at its iridescent amber color, it's clear that this Kirk and Sweeney 23-year Reserva rum is uniquely charming. Its nose teases with toasty dried fruits and a hint of honey and toffee, while the taste delights through an evolving sensation of fruit, vanilla, and sherry. So Tony's asking, how does Rum Ratings score the Zafra Bourbon Cask? Well, let's have a look. Let's have a look here and see how they rate the Zafra. Zafra Master Reserve. I don't know if it says bourbon. Let's see. 9.3 and 8.3. Let's see that. Is that the one? Panama aged. So far Zafra looks pretty good. I don't think I've seen this myself. Oh, did you see that price? Buy it now for $209.81. Ooh, that's some big money. That's some big money. 8.3 for the Master Reserve. It looks like, I can't really see what the labeling says. Oh, here it is. Yes, this rum is made from molasses and aged in American bourbon barrels for at least 21 years. So they give it the same rating as the Crooked Sweeney 23, so 8.3 overall. With but this is out of 254 ratings. And let's compare that to 215 with the Crooked Sweeney. So let's give it a taste. So it just has a cork, which I was surprised how well the cork has worked. I mean, it's kind of sat in my truck on my trip back, rolling around. And as you can see, it's not... I expected with the girls that we would be drinking a lot this past weekend, like many more bottles. I thought we would probably finish this and then finish a lot of the wine that I brought, but really they didn't drink that much. Alright, so Crooked Sweeney. Here's what it looks like. So nice color. A little bit of burn, a little bit of stringency, but nice caramel tones. I'm not getting any toffee. Caramel, vanilla. It says hints of honey, but maybe. I think I'd be really searching for that. So Tony says the Zafra is about $55. Good. I will keep an eye out for that. And my cigar has gone out. So there it is. The Tabernacle has gone out. So we will relight. But I'm going to use the... I think I'm going to use... let's just use the matches for relighting. So you guys drinking anything interesting? I'm using Cirillo's edge method, and I'm really impressed at how well that actually works. So if you're just joining us, you know, how's it going? Welcome. Thanks for coming and tuning in. Let me know where you are and what you're smoking tonight, what you're drinking tonight. Drop those in the comments. We're smoking the Foundation Cigar Company, the Tabernacle Havana Seed, Connecticut, number 142, Lancero. Along with the Annabel Lee coffee. And the Crooked Sweeney 23-year-old rum. And tonight I'm fully clothed, unlike last week. Nice. Rusty says, I'm boring. Just a Brooklyn Brewery winter lager. That's all right. That's right. How's the weather up there? Is it nicer? Like down here, it is I was standing outside in my shorts and t-shirt just a little before we started the show, because it's what was the temperature out here? The temperature down here is right about 35 degrees, so it's relatively pleasant here in Baltimore. We had the snow, but the weather was a little bit warmer today, so some of the snow is melting. Hope not too much of it. I don't really like cold weather. But if it's going to be cold, I like it to have snow, and I like the snow to last. Like, now that we've got to the point where the snow has come, and today we really had a point where the crews have got all the snow off the roads, so the roads are clear, and it was cold enough this morning that there was still snow. I like that. Like, I don't want it to melt away. Like, I leave it that way for a little while because it's pretty. And Rusty says it finally warped up a bit from the Arctic tundra. Yeah, when I was up in a week ago when I was up in Western, man, it was bitter. It was like 10 degrees. That was just, man, that was brutal. Like, I built this fire on Friday night after the show, and it was still like 10, 11 degrees, 15 degrees. And I built this big bonfire, like it was like maybe 3 feet tall. Stacked it up, log cabin stuff. Man, you had to be like almost on top of the fire to feel it because it was so bitterly cold. And that night it was super windy, so like smoke was billowing in all directions. Oh, it was just kind of miserable. But because there was so much wind, man, it really fed the fire. So the fire was raging. It just, you couldn't feel it because it was so cold. It was crazy. Holy smokes. Rusty says, I had to dig out 30 inches of snow at my house. I couldn't see the... Wow, really? Dude, it really was a lot up there. I didn't know that. I mean, I saw that it was snowing, like in New York City, when I first came back on Sunday. I didn't really pay attention to the news since then, so I didn't realize you guys had that much. That's pretty brutal. That's brutal. Oh my goodness. I didn't realize it was that crazy there. Like, what was it, 11 years ago in February 2010, here in Baltimore, we had 2 back-to-back blizzards, and each one dumped 2 feet. And they were only like 3 days apart or something like that. So we had like a total of 4 feet. It was craziness. That was just crazy. So speaking of Rusty, I don't know if you guys happen to notice, but Rusty was on doing a live stream the other day, and I thought that, I don't know if you guys seen it, but it's actually on his Facebook page. So if you look him up, here it is. Here's Rusty doing his thing. Let me close that. Where is he? Is this it? What's going on here? Darn this thing. Or maybe this is your test.
I don't thing that you could possibly.
So as you can see,
but only when it's cold, is if you like Parmesan or freshly grated Pecorino Romano, you could add that to here just as a little.
So you can see this on his Facebook page. Go check it out. It's showing you how to make macaroni and cheese. And I thought, you know, Rusty's a fine dining chef, from an institutional chef, and so I was really expecting some kind of like bechamel based, like funky, high tech, 4 different quattro formaggi kind of macaroni and cheese. But it was really kind of a simple preparation, really easy to do. I thought that was really a great approach there, Rusty. I was really enjoyed that. I was like, oh, all right, I can totally do that in my sideline. So Tony's asking, did the ladies enjoy it? The ladies enjoyed it very much. Very much. Yeah, Inting, that's a work. Yeah, so Inting, I imagine you must have had pretty much the same amount of snow that Rusty had, because you guys aren't really too far apart there in Jersey, right? No, I liked it. Don't get me wrong. He says the time now high school kids. I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually. I really thought that was a great way to approach it. So did you actually, you were going to do that for your students this week, right? So how did they find success in the recipe? You know, truth be told, as much as I do kind of enjoy... Oh, and also what I liked is that if you guys watch the video, he talks about using breadcrumbs to give some crunch. And he used a technique where he's actually microwaving the breadcrumbs with... I forget what it was, but I thought that was really interesting. Like, oh, I never thought about using a microwave to create that. And I didn't think that using a microwave would actually induce a crunchy texture to something. And so the rest says, first day of today was today. Kids so far loved it. Excellent. Yeah, I think that's something that's really accessible, and pretty much anyone could do of any skill level. And I think that's really great because, like, you know, so much of culinary tends to revolve around, you know, like modern day culinary with the last like 15 years or so tends to revolve so much around technique and like high tech. I think it's really important to be able to show people that they can just use everyday ingredients and like cook really enjoyable food that way. So one of the big things that some people that I know have been talking about this last few days is, I don't know if you guys know, but there's a guy named David Chang, who's a chef in New York City who has a famous restaurant called Momofuku. He also has a bakery, and he does a lot of stuff. He recently came out with a new line of like restaurant grade soy sauces, as well as basically chili oil. He made his own version of lauganma. And lauganma, if you may not be familiar, is basically like crushed and ground chilies with in some versions there's a little bit of like dried black beans, and basically it's these chilies are then cooked in a hot oil or actually bathed in like scalding, like a peanut oil, and it creates this Chinese chili oil that trades under the name of lauganma. And lauganma is just really a popular. I use it a lot myself, but he created his own. But he has created something called fuku, which is I believe a roving kind of like houseless kitchen. And so basically they're coming to Baltimore, I think this weekend, where you're going to use Uber Eats, and you can order food from them and they'll deliver it to certain sectors of the city. Like if you're up here where I live in the county, that's outside the delivery area, but if you're down in the city somewhere, like in my shop in Hamden, that should be within it. And they finally released and I saw an ad for it today on Instagram, and this is kind of it. I'll show it to you here, you guys here, so you can see it. This is kind of, it was a multi-frame ad, but this is the basic. So they're basically coming to Baltimore to do basically a hot chicken sandwich, which looks to me like Popeyes. And you know, I mean, I know some people are really excited because it's David Chang and Momofuku is coming here. And, you know, I've been to Momofuku as well, and to his other place, Momo, and the food's really quite good. It's just that I was a little bit underwhelmed with the idea that they're going to come bring fried chicken sandwich, because, you know, here in Baltimore we've got a place called Bird. We have Waffy Waffle. Who else? There is, I know I said it here also. Oh, Eki Ben. And these are all places, as well as Popeyes, they all do this kind of thing. So it's like, I was hoping they would have brought something a little more exciting from their menu. Some of the stuff they're more known for, but, you know, whatever. So Rusty says Chang's version is called Chili Crunch, and so your buddy just is your buddy familiar with lauganma, and how does it compare to lauganma? And so the other part that I was saying where Rusty's using breadcrumbs panko. So here's the recipe for it: two tablespoons of panko with a half teaspoon oil, salt, pepper, microwave on high for 30 seconds, and burst in GBD. But if you guys check out the video on YouTube, that'll explain to you. I think it's really good. It's really good. So here we are. We're getting down towards the final third. It's pretty good. It's still good. It's still a solid cigar. It's been good flavors, good burn, good draw. Is it just meh, as some of those scores from Developing Palates would suggest? No, it's not that. Is it 86 from Cigar Aficionado? I know some of you guys think it's better. I'm kind of like... I would say that on a 100-point scale, I'd put it somewhere between 86 to 90, maybe like an 88, 89. And GBD is golden brown delicious. I'm going to have to try that because, I don't really get to use microwave too much. I don't, like at the shop downtown, our kitchen downtown at Hamden, and our kitchen here at the roastery, I don't have any microwaves. I've always kind of wanted to because I've kind of wanted to do some of the stuff that Juan Marie Arzak does. And so, like, Juan Marie Arzak, he had this technique he showed us at one of the Star Chefs conference where he would take milk, he would make milk paper. And what he did with the milk, he would take milk, put it in a bowl or a shallow bowl, and then he would microwave it until the film created. He would make a film on top of the milk. He would remove the film, dry it out as milk paper. And I thought that was such an interest, but I'd never really taken the time to try it. Maybe it's time to go get me a microwave. Oh, something I thought maybe I'll ask you guys what your thoughts on are. I was recently approached to consider doing something down in Ocean City. So this woman that I know who's actually the founder of Star Chefs, which is the chef conference that I attend with Rusty in New York City in October, and evidently her family is part of the Trimper Rides family. And Trimper, if you're not familiar with, if you're not from Maryland and not familiar, Trimpers is a family-owned business that runs all of the amusement park on the boardwalk in Ocean City, Maryland. And so she's been running that for the past year. And her idea is to build an outdoor, open-air food court. So kind of like the R House here in Baltimore, but outdoors. So she's asked a bunch of chefs that I know here in Baltimore to consider opening a location there for the summer, operate for 5 months during the summertime. And she was asking me to come down the other day, and that's why I'm actually going to Ocean City next week, is to go look at this and have a thought. But, the idea was I've been trying to think of what to do. Maybe do food, or maybe do, or maybe stay with coffee. So I was thinking something like coffee and fried dough, kind of like a beignet kind of place. But I was wondering, what you guys thought about, if you have any thoughts about what might people on the boardwalk in Ocean City at a beach town be interested in. They get about 330,000 people on the weekends to come to the city. They have 8 million visitors a year, and local population about 70,000. So for the last week, I've been just trying to think about, what would I like to do if we were to go there? Maybe to do the what do you call it? Maybe to do like a coffee and fried dough kind of thing. So one friend of mine suggested me do carne asada fries, but even though it's carne asada on French fries, there is a big company called Thrasher's on the boardwalk that does, boardwalk style French fries. That seems to be a ridiculous thing to compete against. So what else is happening in the news this week? So evidently Trump is not going to be testifying at the impeachment trial this coming week. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing for him. But I guess, you know, if you're president, you don't really have to be at the impeachment trials. Rusty says coffee and churros. I was thinking about that. There's a place in Mexico City that we go to every once in a while, and it's all the way downtown in Mexico City in what they call El Centro. And El Centro is the old part of the city, in the center of the city. And there's a big plaza, and it's right off the plaza. And I forgot the name of it, but basically, you go in this place, and it's like churro heaven, right? So they've got this big vat, like it's just this massive, like 5-foot square vat of like boiling oil. And there's this dude, and he's got the churro mix inside like a big funnel, and he's cranking out through a star-shaped extruder, and they're just going in circles. And then another guy's scooping it out and tossing it in the sugar, in cinnamon sugar. And if you want chocolate, you can get that with it. So that's something I was thinking that might be good too. But I'm trying to think what those kind of things with fryers, you know, like if we were to do some kind of fried thing. Like I have a single 20-pound fryer in my garage that's just been sitting there. I could use that, but I kind of wonder, like, how much volume can I actually push in a 20-pound fryer? You know, do I need to have multiples? You know, and how much people do you really expect to come down there? I mean, it's really kind of at the inlet of Ocean City. It's really kind of off the boardwalk. It's right down there. It's kind of in the mash of things, but it's really at the inlet end. So it's not really, if you're familiar with Ocean City, it's not where Thrasher's and Atlantic Stand is. It's further down, where those old shanty towns are, that little shanty town shopping area, where they have all the tourist gift trinket stuff. Evidently, they're going to tear all that out and then build the food court in there. So again, I'm having that reaction, that choking sensation, because we're getting close to the end. I think the cigar's smoking well. It's still very enjoyable. So the big question that we always ask is, would I buy it again? Yeah, I think so. It's an enjoyable cigar. It's very satisfying. Very satisfactory. And I'm sure you guys have seen that whole thing about Wall Street and the Reddit group, subreddit group called Wall Street Bets, and how what was it called? Melvin Capital did a short sell on GameStop, trying to make, millions. They made their millions, but then all these Reddit guys bought up the stocks to try to push the price up, and so that's been an interesting. They've been following that a little bit, but it just goes to show, like, what's been happening in the last few days is that, like, Citadel, which is another hedge fund company, they gave Melvin Capital, the one that's kind of in trouble, they just gave him $2 billion. Just, here's $2 billion. We know you're in trouble. You're one of us. Here's $2 billion to float you for a while. You'll pay us back. Which kind of makes you wonder, like, if companies like this can just come up $2 billion like that, I mean, to help each other out, you'd think they could do a little bit more for the country, for the people. So evidently, what I heard on NPR this morning, the owner of Citadel hedge fund has his hands in pretty much all of Wall Street, all divisions of Wall Street. They play in all the different portions of Wall Street. So pretty much Citadel, I think they were saying on NPR that every transaction that happened, every stock that's traded on the New York Stock Exchange, Citadel makes like a penny or two off of each sale or each stock, each share. So, you know, they're making trillions of pennies. Oh, I mean, you know, how do you beat that? There's no way to beat that. So eventually they're just, evidently the guys that are running the subreddit are kind of upset because, you know, now that the price of the stock has risen to some astronomical level, you know, everyone's starting to sell it. So once you start to sell, the price comes down. So it's driving the price back down. So at the end of the day, no matter, even though you're able to stick it to Melvin Capital for like a week, at the end of the day, everybody, all the retail guys, like the rest of, like us normal people, will just get crushed. So, if you were able to buy some and get out, good. If you haven't got out, you should get out now. But I'm not a stockbroker, so don't take my advice. Tony says fried dough nuggets and iced coffee. I like that. I like that. As well as iced cocoa. Oh, nice, nice. And then Rusty's asking, what about your pop-up? What about a pop-up of your homage to Cafe de... You know, that's something to do, but the thing about what we do here at the cafe, at the roastery, at the Cafe du Spro here, the little homage to Cafe de l'Ombre. And those of you might not be familiar with what Rusty's talking about, my little bar here at the roastery is really an homage to Cafe de l'Ombre, which is my favorite coffee shop in the world. And it's actually a place in Japan. And it's a place where, like I was saying earlier, we brew it in essentially a flannel sock. And it's a very meticulous and precious kind of way to make coffee. And it's really beautiful, and I really love it. But, you know, the only downside to doing something like that at Ocean City is that really, at the ocean, you want to just, basically the idea is just to turn and burn. Like, we just want to sell as much as possible and make as much money as we possibly can. And to do precious coffee 1 cup at a time, I mean, there's not enough time to do enough to make it worthwhile there. You know, I mean, they're talking about rents probably in the $4,000 to $5,000 a month range per booth, which is probably a 10 by 10 booth. So it's a lot of money to put out. And of course, you know, since it's an outdoor kind of thing, there's only so much time that you have. Like, you know, even though you may open, what, in April, May, and maybe close in October, April, May, September, and into October is can get kind of cold. So that's the downside of that. Whew, man. We're running at 123, which is good because now we're twice the time of last week. I think I was only able to hang in there for like 37 minutes. And I tell you, when I got out of the hot tub last week after the show, and I stepped on the concrete, man, you could feel like the cold, the sharpness of the cold like running through my legs. Man, it was brutal. So what else happened in the news? Deutsche Bank finally reported its first profit earnings in many, many years, which I thought was kind of surprising. You'd think that something like Deutsche Bank, they've been making a lot of money, so only now they're making a profit? That seems strange. Maybe they're closing out on Trump, so maybe they're starting to make money. And then finally, they've also reported the new COVID variants here in Maryland, so no place is safe. We're also coming up to a year. It'll be a year in next month it'll be a year. What else did I read in the news today? Evidently, breast cancer is the most diagnosed cancer in the world, so lots of breast cancer out there. I might have to go for a mammogram myself. I always try to feel and see if there's any kind of... But I haven't felt anything, so I guess I'm all right. The CEO of Parler was also terminated by Parler's board. And in related news, they evidently, the town of Mar-a-Lago in Florida cannot kick Trump out. So, happily, the former president, will not have to move back to New York City. Although I don't know why he wouldn't want to. I mean, he's got that big tower. I think I'd rather live in a tower. And then Rusty says, also, did you hear that Fauci said people should not... I did not hear that. You know, actually, until today and until I was like kind of going through the news, I didn't really know that the Super Bowl was... Actually, it was earlier today that somebody came up to me today and asked me about the Super Bowl. And I was like, oh, the Super Bowl this weekend? I didn't even know who was in it until I looked it up. Chiefs versus the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers? Tampa Bay? I didn't even know they were still around. But evidently, the guy who owns, this guy they call Mattress Mac, who owns a mattress company, and I forgot where he is, maybe I think he's in Florida, he just put down a bet of $3.46 million on the Buccaneers to cover the Chiefs spread. $3.46 million bet. Wonder how much he'll win if he wins. All right, so that's... We're going to put that down for a little bit. We're going to go to something else. And actually for this, I'm going to recharge the lighter. I'm using Whippet butane. This is a big thing that Tony likes to promote. Whippet. It's pretty good. North Atlantic kind of thing. Evidently, there's a red can that this one is, and there's a big white can. It says Northern Sea butane, which is supposed to be cleaner. And from what I've been told, the red and the white cans are the same. I don't know if that's true or not. But I thought we would relive last week's adventure. As you remember, if you might have seen last week's broadcast, part of what caused the end of the broadcast is that I dropped this in the hot tub. The Liga Privada number 9, Toro Oscuro Tubo. So let's see what happens. It's had a week to dry out. It's been in the tube for most of the week. The cap is starting to come off, as you can see. So let's see if it'll live after taking a dump in the hot tub with all the hot tub chemicals. Trying to light it. It's coming along. I don't know if there's still some residual humidity inside the middle of the cigar. Oh, it's coming apart. This is proving difficult to light. Ooh, not bad. The cigar lives. I might be getting ill from the chemicals. All right, not bad. So it's pretty soft. You can see it's pretty soft here. As you can see, the wrapper's lifting off a little bit here in the back, right about there. So it definitely doesn't have that nice richness as it started out last week. Notes of chlorine. Notes of chlorine in my bodily fluids. Oh God, there we go again. That's what happened last week. Actually, considering how cold it was, I'm surprised I was able to hold on to it for as long as I did. Yeah, it's really soft. I don't know if that means that it's still kind of wet. So Rusty said, I just stepped away. Is that the... Yes, this is the Liga from the hot tub. I had kept it in the tubo and decided that we would give it a try. I said last week we were going to relight it, so... Oof. It's struggling. So any nuance that we had last week, now this could also be from the fact that I've been smoking this Tabernacle, which is, I'd say medium full kind of cigar. A lot of black pepper, a lot of good flavors in the Tabernacle. So my palate's used to the Tabernacle, so it's probably part of this is it's probably occluding some of the flavors from this Liga. But also the Liga's, I would say the structure of the Liga based on the way, how soft. I mean, it's really soft, right? Look at that. I mean, now I'm pressing pretty hard. But it's pretty soft, especially right here where my thumb is. So the structure of the cigar seems damaged because of the water. So I'm having to puff on it quite heavily. So Russ is asking, okay, question about relight. If you let it go out and keep it in a tubo, when you relight it, you cut it from... I probably should have cut it. I probably should use the scissors to cut it to give an even edge. It did have the tunneling because of the way that the burn is. I just kind of relit it down the center. But it's pretty well lit now. Then it probably would have been better had I cut off the other part of it. Part of that's because, you know, if you cut off the... oh, goodness, not making a mess over here. But if you cut off the part where the cherry used to be, it usually... It usually will light better. Tony says, put some whole milk or half and half under the wrapper and on top to glue it back down. Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. I should try that. But I don't have any milk here, so imagine that, a coffee place without any milk. Actually, I had a guy come in today and he was kind of upset. He bought a coffee and he wanted heavy cream. And since we've had the whole pandemic, you know, our business has been off by, you know, 55% or so. So a number of the menu items that have been on our menu for many years have gone away, mainly because we just don't have the volume to keep things around and keep it fresh, and or to go through it in a fresh amount of time. So one of the things that went away during COVID has been heavy cream, as well as like skim milk. So we only have whole milk. So he was kind of pissed off that we didn't have the heavy cream. You know what I've been wondering about? Speaking of the vegetable gum that they use to seal cigars, you know, I don't really know what they're using for vegetable gum, but I was thinking, what if I took some xanthan gum? Because I've got a lot of xanthan gum for other reasons, but if I took some xanthan gum and made like a xanthan gum paste, and xanthan is a corn-based gum additive, would that be the type of vegetable gum that they're using in cigar production? It's probably not the same thing, but it'd be similar, I think. I just never tried it. So there we go. Now it's really lit. And it's burning. It's starting to burn out relatively evenly. I think I'm going to need some more water here. And if you're interested in visiting California, I was just reading today, there's a website called Visit Santa Maria Valley, which is just outside of Santa Barbara, California. And if you go to their website, and this is good from February 2nd to March 31st, and you must stay a minimum of 2 nights in the Santa Maria Valley, but they will give you a voucher for $100 to spend at any of their businesses. So whether you want to spend that at the whatever accommodation you're going to stay in, or any of the breweries or restaurants, $100 voucher. So they're trying to entice tourism. So if you have the interest in going to California, I really have to struggle to keep this alive. You know, so if you want to visit California, that might be a good reason to go. But the other side to temper that is that since a lot of the airlines have been so heavily impacted by the lack of travelers, they, you know, of course, they've mothballed a lot of their aircraft. They've laid off and furloughed a lot of their staff, you know, both flight attendants, gate agents, apron workers, and pilots. Turns out that because the pilots are spending so much time at home, not flying, that the number of in-flight errors has increased dramatically. Not to the point that it's making airline travel more dangerous than it used to be, but definitely they're having the pilots not flying on their regular schedule, which is, I think, what they fly 5 days a month or something like that. They're having a little bit, they're making more mistakes. So hopefully that doesn't mean they forget to drop the landing gear before they land. Yeah, definitely the wrapper is starting to come off. So what have you guys been watching lately? I just finally finished the last episode for this season of The Expanse. I don't know if you guys are Expanse fans, but I thought it was pretty good. Now, if you're not familiar, The Expanse is actually a series that's based off a series of books by James S.A. Corey, and it follows these people that are, you know, if they were, what, 300-400 years into the future, where humans have colonized Mars and have also colonized the asteroid belt, where where there's a lot of humans living on the belt, basically doing mining of different resources. And so the whole premise of the series has been the battle between these three factions of humans in the solar system, and it all centers around this group of 4 people that live on this salvaged Martian frigate. And one of the main characters, Alex, was killed in the last episode. He basically suffered a stroke due to the G-forces during heavy burns in space travel, which is actually, what I was reading about is that it's actually a very accurate portrayal of what could happen to people, to humans in space travel, because there's so much stresses in so much G-forces that it can induce hemorrhaging and strokes. But when they killed him off in the series, in the books, Alex doesn't, from what I've been told, if he dies much later in the book series, like maybe in book 7 instead of, you know, book 5. But evidently the actor, Kaz Anvar, back in June, he started getting a lot of accusations of sexual harassment from a whole bunch of people over the last, like, 7 years. And the company that runs the production, Alcon Entertainment, decided to do a third-party investigation into the allegations. And so I don't believe they ever came out with anything specific as to whether or not the accusations were true, but they did decide to kill off his character. So one would presume that the accusations were true. Let's have a little bit more rum. The rum is nice. You know, if you remember back in, was it New Year's? We were drinking that rum from Delay in Germany. It doesn't have the smooth sweetness that the Delay rum had. This is a little bit more stringent, not as sweet, but it is nice. It is a nice rum. And Tony says it was nice to see that Baltimore in 2350 still has the thugs in him. That's true. That's true. I don't know. You know, I meant to go look back at this, but it was 3 episodes. On episode 7, when they were in Baltimore, they did a wide shot, and I never bothered to rewind. And I'll probably do it. Maybe I'll do it later tonight. But I could have sworn that in one of the wide shots they actually put the Baltimore's World Trade Center in there, and I was like, oh, that looks like the World Trade Center. You know, it's cool for me personally. I'm a big fan of Baltimore, being that I grew up here. But I'm always excited to see Baltimore in any shape and form in movies and TV. Even if they still made Baltimore to be kind of a decrepit hellhole in 2350. But I would like to see more shows depict Baltimore in a more positive way. Because despite all of the bad that they like to show in the television shows, you know, in shows like Homicide: Life in the Streets or The Wire, you know, there is a lot of nice things about Baltimore. You know, or John Waters movies, you know. So there's more to Baltimore than just, you know, murders and shit eating. But one of the interesting quotes that I read about Baltimore, maybe about a year ago, was that maybe it was John Waters who said this, but I thought it was quite appropriate. But you know, like it's something along the lines how Baltimore people look at the world and think that everybody's crazy, when the reality is that Baltimore people are the ones that are crazy and just think that's normal. So this one, it's smoking, but it really is a fight to keep it alive. And whatever happened with the hot tub, there's no real discernible character anymore. This is one of those times when, you know, when we think about we were talking earlier tonight about the developing palates, you know, the satisfaction, like it's neither satisfying or dissatisfying. That's kind of where we are now. It's just a cigar that you're smoking just for the act of smoking. It's harsh, bitter. It kind of like wants to cause me to gag. Because it's so soft, so here's the thing that I'm finding. Because it's now so soft in the center, the draw is super easy. So to the point where, as a cigar smoker, you're used to having so much resistance in the draw that you're pulling it, and typically there's enough resistance so that as you suck, you're sucking just enough to fill the palate and taste it. But it's so light that, and I'm trying to draw, and it's so hard that you kind of want to, you start to swallow the smoke and get that gag reaction. So if you notice that I'm kind of like having almost an adverse reaction to the draw, that's why. The way to combat that, to create that resistance for your draw, is to actually squeeze the cigar. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, that's not pleasant. It's not pleasant. Ooh. Ooh, man. So what else been happening to all you guys? There we go. I don't know if you saw that also, but the Apple and Facebook have been in a big, evidently are starting to get into a war, where Tim Cook has come out and kind of bashed on Facebook without actually naming Facebook. Zuckerberg was out there saying that it's more beneficial for them to draw all of the data on us and feed us, you know, more targeted ads. Where Tim Cook was arguing that the advertising existed long before targeted ads, so there basically the we don't need to do that. So I think Apple's positioning themselves to combat Facebook on the way they're collecting our data. Which, to be honest with you, I don't know who's better, Apple or Facebook in this. Have you guys been following that? Any thoughts on it? Yeah, so if I squeeze down hard with my fingers on the cigar, it does facilitate a better draw, but it's just not pleasant. And now, I don't know what's happening on the inside, but there's definitely some, yeah, right about here. You can feel the burning. It's getting pretty warm right about here. And it's starting to be burning on the tongue, on the lips. So I think we're getting some tunneling. And, yeah, not too pleasant. Yeah, that's definitely getting pretty hard and bitter. All right, so what's happening next week? We're going to be coming back next week with some more cigars. We've got a line up here. I put the notes down below in case you want to grab a cigar for next week. Next week's going to be on the 11th. We're going to smoke the Illusion PCA 2020 exclusive. And then the week after that, on the 18th, we'll be smoking the Plasencia Almafuerte 601. I think of the two cigars, that's the Plasencia is the one that I'm really interested to smoke. It's got that really big, thick ring gauge, and it's got that hexagonal shape box press to it. Yeah, just knocked off the yeah, that's done. That's done. To continue, it would just be a lesson. Well, let's try it a little more. It's just misogyny now. Self-flagellation. That's enough. That's enough. So, that's pretty much it for this week. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys hanging out again on Thursday. We'll be back next Thursday for sure with more cigars. Next week's going to be the Illusion PCA 2020 exclusive, like I said. And at the current rate, it looks like we're going to be doing this again from on the road from Ocean City, Maryland, where I'll be looking at, maybe new things. So Tony says, so now it's the 3 in the rings. Yes, definitely on the dissatisfying end of the scale. But yeah, so next week, back for sure. Thanks for tuning in again. We'll be back at 8 o'clock on Thursday, the 11th. So hope you guys have a great week. Thanks for tuning in, and catch you then.